You're tuned to Retro Rewind FM, the show that brings the magic of the 80s back to life, right here on YouTube. If you love the stories behind the songs that changed the sound of a generation, hit that subscribe button, give us a like, and let's rewind to one of the most iconic riffs in rock history, Money for Nothing by Dire Straits. It was 1985. MTV was the new religion, neon lights ruled the night, and every kid wanted to be a rock star. But one band from London was about to hold up a mirror to that entire fantasy, with a song that sounded like an anthem, but felt like a warning. Mark Knopfler wasn't the typical rock frontman. No leather pants, no pyrotechnics, no over-the-top attitude. Just a quiet genius, with a head full of stories and a guitar that spoke more than words ever could. He was in an appliance store one afternoon in New York City when inspiration struck, not from a melody, but from a man. Behind the counter, a delivery worker was watching MTV on the store's TV wall, surrounded by boxes and cables. He looked up at the screen, saw glamorous rock stars living in luxury, and muttered something that would become music history. Yeah, that's the way you do it. You play the guitar on the MTV. That ain't workin'. That's the way you do it. Money for nothing and chicks for free. Knopfler scribbled the words down on a notepad, almost verbatim. That blue-collar sarcasm, that working man's frustration, became the heartbeat of Money for Nothing. It wasn't a song mocking success. It was about the gap between fantasy and reality, between fame and the factory floor. Musically, the song was pure genius. The opening guitar riff, sharp, clean, unforgettable, came from Knopfler experimenting with fingerpicking on a Les Paul copy through a Laney amp. He was searching for a sound that felt lazy but hypnotic. He found gold. That riff is now one of the most recognizable in rock history. But what truly made Money for Nothing explode wasn't just the song, it was the video. Directed by Steve Barron, the same visionary behind Billie Jean and Take On Me, it was the first major music video to use computer-generated animation. Those polygonal pastel-colored workers, hauling boxes and staring at glowing TVs, were the visual voice of the song's message. Technology and irony, side by side, just like the decade itself. And then there was the opening line, "I want my MTV." Sung by Sting, recorded in less than an hour, it became both a marketing slogan and a cultural landmark. MTV even used it in their commercials. It was the perfect paradox, a song criticizing the industry that the industry then used to sell itself. That's the 80s for you. The single shot to #1 in the US and #4 in the UK, staying on the charts for months. It won Grammys, sold millions, and made Dire Straits stadium legends. But beyond the success, it captured something rare, the irony of an era obsessed with fame and image. The song was both celebration and critique, and that duality made it timeless. Of course, years later, some of the lyrics sparked controversy for their raw, working-class slang. But Knopfler always defended the song's intent. It was storytelling, not preaching. It was about perspective, showing how envy and admiration often live in the same breath. Behind the scenes, the Brothers in Arms album was one of the first fully digital recordings, mastered for the brand new CD format. It sounded cleaner, wider, and colder, the perfect soundtrack for a high-tech decade. Money for Nothing wasn't just a hit. It was a declaration that rock had officially entered the digital age. Even today, when that first guitar line kicks in, something clicks in the brain. You're back in 1985 neon signs, VHS tapes, the smell of cassette plastic, and ambition. You remember when MTV meant discovery, not algorithms. And when rock stars looked untouchable. Money for Nothing was more than a song. It was a time capsule. A wink, a warning, and a masterpiece, all rolled into one. You've been listening to Retro Rewind FM, where every beat tells a story. If this trip back to the 80s took you somewhere special, make sure to subscribe, drop a like, and tell us which classic you want us to rewind next. Until next time, keep your riffs loud, your screens glowing, and your dreams tuned to the sound of forever.